In this video, I want to talk about the progressive interest payment. Now, you might be wondering, what is a progressive interest? Now, before I answer that question, let's talk about the banks. Banks are in the business of lending money. So they lend you a set amount of money, let's say about 450k, in hopes that in the future you will pay them more back in return because of the interest rate that they charge to you. Okay. So when you buy a condo or a project, you won't need to pay the monthly installment for that project until after the project is completed and you've already got your keys. Same with landed houses, same with any properties. If it's still under construction, you do not need to pay the monthly installments. But you already secured the loan and you signed the loan agreement way before that in the earlier stages, right? Because you borrowed the loan from the banks, they want something in return, right? There's no free lunches in this world. Banks will release the loan by stages according to the HDA, which I'll explain after this, to the developer. And every time they release the payment according to the stages, stage by stage, you, the buyer, have to pay what we call the progressive interest each month to the bank. So let me give you a common scenario. Let's say Jamal wants to buy a house worth 500k. But as majority of us, he and us, we don't necessarily have 500k lying around in our bank accounts, right? And even if we did, I don't think it would be that wise to just spend all of our savings to buy one house. So Jamal, as with most people, will go to the banks and ask for a loan to help finance the property. 500k SBA price, the bank loan will be about, if 90% maximum, 450k, and Jamal only needs to pay 10% down payment, which is around 50k. And if he buys a project, well, usually developers, they give you rebates to offset the down payment. Okay, so this is the situation. Jamal will go to the bank and ask for a 90% loan from the bank, because in Malaysia we can only get maximum 90% of the property price to help finance for the project that we want to buy. Okay, so the bank loan, 90% is around 450k, and the bank approves that loan. They will pay this amount to the developer according to the stages in the HDA. So they won't just pay one shot to the developer. That is very dangerous. So now the government is aware of this, so they set the HDA. And for the rest of the 10%, Jamal pays as a down payment to the developer to buy that project. I'm sorry. Okay, so how much do you have to pay during the construction to the bank for the progressive interest? Okay, as I mentioned just now, it is controlled by the HDA, which is the Housing Development Act. Okay, HDA is to protect the buyers from the developers abandoning the project or scamming the buyers. So when the banks help finance 90% of the property price, they can't just simply give all of the 90% one shot to the developer, because if that happens, the project isn't even built up yet. The developers can just simply take that money and run away. They can flee to another country and thus, well, scamming the buyers, because when the buyers already signed the agreement, with the loan agreement, they're stuck with it. So the HDA is divided into 5 main stages: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want you to pay close attention to stage number 2, because this is the only stage which is which you have to concern regarding the progressive interest payment. Okay. Stage 1 is when you sign the SPA. This is when you pay the 10%. Stage 2 is during the construction, from piling until the roads, until everything is completed, the building already built up, the walls and everything, the sewerage, the drains around the building. Stage 3 onwards, Stage 3 is when they get the keys, what we call vacant possession. This is when the property is already completed, and they've already certified that it is safe to stay inside, for people to come inside. They will give you the keys. So we don't need to worry about the progressive interest payment anymore, because the property is already completed. So I've broken it down simpler for you guys to see, because here, as you can see, there's too many words and I'm afraid it might seem a bit intimidating. I've actually made a detailed video about the HDA in one of my other videos in my YouTube channel. I'll link it up in the YouTube card right now. So you can click up here to see the video. So as I mentioned just now, yeah, as for the HDA, stage 1 is when they sign the SPA. So this is where JAMA will pay the 10%. If he buys a project, then it's going to be offset by the rebates. Stage 2, 2A until 2H, this is the development or the under construction stage of that project. Stage 3 is when it is completed and JAMA already got his keys. And 4 and 5. Okay. So let's say, let's use the same example, 500k property. Okay, so the progressive interest is only paid in stage 2, which is from 2A until 2H. 2A is the piling stage, the underground foundation of that project, okay, of that condo. B, structural framework of the building. C is the walls of your unit. D is the roofing, electrical wiring, plumbing of your unit. E is the plaster walls. 2F, the sewerage around the building. 2G, the drains around the building. 2H, the roads connecting from outside the building to the development. And each of them have their stage percentage. So this percentage, okay, let's say for 2A, if the project is the condo is 500k, 10% is around 50k. Banks can only disperse this amount by stages after the stage is completed by the developer. So the developer has to make sure that they finish the piling 100% finished. Then they can ask the banks to disperse the 10% amount to them. And then 2B, structural framework. If it's already completed for your unit, then they can ask the banks to disperse 15%. Walls 10%, and so on and so forth until the very end. Okay, so here's the formula for the progressive interest, which is the SPA price of the property, stage percentage, as I mentioned just now in the 2A and 2H, and you use a bank interest percentage that you got from your loan. Times 30 divided by 365, because we have 30 days in 1 month and 365 days per year. So let me give you an example. For stage 2A, which the stage percentage is 10%. So the progressive interest per month will be about 500k times 10%. And let's use 3.4% as the bank interest rate, times 30 divided by 365, which will amount to about 140 ringgit per month that the buyer has to pay after the developer has already finished stage 2A, piling stage. Okay, so let's start. I'll give you a breakdown of each of the stages, and this is just a general estimation based on the completion of the stages, percentage of the completion. Okay, stage 2A, piling already completed by the developer, and now they're requesting 10% from the banks to pay to them. And because the banks already dispersed 10% to the developer, you, the buyer, you have to pay the progressive interest per month. And it will be about 140 ringgit per month because you put 500k SPA price, 10% for 2A, 3.4% interest rate, times 30 divided by 365, so about 140 ringgit per month. For 2B, if the structural framework of your unit is already completed, the developer will and the bank will disperse another 15%. So in total, now they've already dispersed 25%. 25% of the property price of 500k to the developer, and now you, the buyer, you have to pay about 350 ringgit per month to serve the progressive interest. To C already, okay, total 35% completion. So you start to pay about 490 ringgit per month. 2D, 45% completion, around 630 per month. 2E, plaster walls, 55% completion, 770 ringgit per month. Sewerage, 60% completion, around 840 ringgit per month. Drains, 65% completion, around 908 per month. And finally, the roads. So in total, it's 70% of your property price that the banks will disperse that money from your loan to the developer In the end, it will be about, for a property price of 500k, nearly 1,000, about 980 ringgit per month. There's also a shortcut way for you to estimate your progressive interest. So if you want to know, okay, my project is being constructed for about 3 to 4 years. Usually it's about 3 to 4 years. So how much is the progressive interest that I'm going to have to pay during this time? So you get your loan amount, normally 90% of your property price, times your bank interest rate. So let's say 500k is the SPA price of your project, of the condo that you want to buy. 90% loan amount is 450k. Bank interest is about 3.4%. So the progressive interest, the total amount across the 3 to 4 years is 450k times 3.4%. It will roughly be about plus or minus 15k. And one more thing, each floor pays a different progressive interest amount. So if you have one project and you have two buyers, buyer A and buyer B, buyer A buys at a lower floor, buyer B will buy at a higher floor, A lower, B higher. The amount of progressive interest they pay is different because the lower the unit, they will start to pay the progressive interest earlier. So when they start to pay earlier, they pay more than the people that bought the top units. So generally, higher the floor, the lower the progressive interest amount that they pay to the banks. Because the lower floor, they start paying first. This is just a shortcut way method. It's not an accurate answer. And also the example that I showed you just now, all of these are just estimations. And sometimes they can jump stage. Let's say they've already completed this FGH, sewerage, drains, and roads. So they've already completed 15%. And now they're at this stage. So yeah, total will be about 15, 30, 50, 40%. 40%, yeah. So start cutting 40%, put inside the formula, and that's the progressive interest that you pay. So these are just general estimations. Okay, so I hope that you understood everything that I tried to explain just now about progressive interest. I know it's a bit complicated. It's also complicated for me as well. If you learned something, if you enjoyed what I just shared, please drop a comment down below if you have any questions. And you can even ask me personally if you have my Instagram, Facebook, or WhatsApp. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.